This is the CBC Morning Report for Thursday, May 18th. I'm Tisha Hines. Good morning. In our top story, the El Nino effect is expected for summer this year. El Nino is the warming phase of the water temperatures around the Pacific equator. During normal weather patterns around the equator, trade winds carry warm water from the tropical areas of the Pacific Ocean, moving west to distribute winds and warm water from the eastern Pacific into the cooler areas of the ocean. During El Nino, those winds weaken and the east-west travel of warm water stops. The winds reverse and carry warm water back east, which makes the warm part of the Pacific Ocean even warmer. Sea surface temperatures can increase by 1 to 3 degrees Celsius for many months or even years. Along with this, Sahara dust has also been heavily impacting the area. Joining us now to discuss these weather phenomena is Dr. Kirk Douglas, Director of the Center for Biosecurity at UWI Cayville campus. Good morning to you, Dr. Douglas.
Hi, good morning, Tisha, and good morning, Barbadians.
Good morning and welcome. Now, is there anything that can be done to mitigate the impact of El Nino on our area, our specific area of the region?
Well, I think the El Nino phenomenon will occur. The timing of it is still up in the air. But there are things that we can do as homeowners, as residents living in these tropical climates. Your personal health and safety is paramount. So especially during those high sunshine hours, usually around noontime, just after in the early afternoon, when the heat is at its peak. If you can avoid being outside in that heat, then that is definitely something that you should do. And then other, methods of cooling, making sure your home or your space is as cool as possible, because heat has a very negative impact on our health, particularly those who may be more vulnerable, particularly persons with cardiovascular disease. My colleague, Dr. Kenneth Connell, he's a very keen advocate to show the links between NCDs and climate change. And that is something that I think on a very basic level, these are things that we can do. But as a globe, I think what we need to do is to really understand the impacts of the greenhouse gas emissions and how these are linked to the whole global climate pattern. You spoke to the sea surface temperatures of the Pacific Ocean and how that all guides and influences climate all across the globe. To give you an example, the last major El Nino we had, I believe, was 2015 and 16. And if anyone could remember that far back, because the pandemic has obliterated a lot of our short-term memory, but that period of time is when we had chikungunya and we had Zika. And the very salient thing that I noted during those epidemics is that they actually occurred during March and April of those years. And that is during the dry season, which is a bit counterintuitive, because you would expect mosquito-borne diseases to be transmitted during the rainy season. But that is not what happened. And what we're seeing now is some signs of that also occurring. I believe PAHO and WHO had sent out a bulletin on the activity of chikungunya across the globe, particularly in South America. And there are a number of other infectious diseases that are linked to climate and climate change and climate cycles. Hantavirus, which is a virus that's transmitted by rodents, which I've done my PhD on in the southwestern part of the United States during El Nino. They have the opposite effect. They have actually very high levels of rainfall. And what happens then is that actually causes the trees, the shrubs, to produce a lot of fruit and a lot of food for the rodents. And so there's a bloom in terms of the population, a population boom. And then obviously that increases the interaction between humans and rodents, increases that infection risk. And then you have an outbreak that is looming. So we have to be very watchful, very vigilant on the impacts of climate change on several aspects of our life. Climate change also, the heat also influences, for instance, water distribution. Water pipes that are buried in the ground when the earth cracks and dries out. And this is some studies coming out again from the university, from CERMES. They show that the peak leak and burst season for pipes actually occurs during the dry season. And what we also found is that that is actually reinforced by a number of different factors. The period from January to May is usually our peak winter season. And that's when the tourism industry is alive and kicking. And that's when the hotels have high demand for water. And so you have a situation where you have a high demand for water. You also have a lot of loss in your distribution system. And also, as we would have seen in March of this year, you also have the risk of wildfires. So then the fire service is put into action to actually extinguish and control these fires with very limited water resources. And so when you see BWA issuing that restriction of use of water, it is a preemptive measure to change our consumption behavior to be able to tackle what is actually going to come. 2024, by the climate projections, are saying that we are going to have a pretty bad 2024 drought. So we have to start to prepare from now to change our habits, which are very difficult to change on the on the snap of a finger. So we
Okay, so I would imagine this is okay. This is also exacerbated by the Saharan dust that we're expecting. So what impact do you see this having on, I know you referred to the impact it will have on our tourism sector, for example, but what impact can each of these have on, say, crop production?
Well, crop production is obvious, and that again is another reason for high demand for water. So the BWA will be stretched at that point in time, and that period of time. And that happens every single year because we only have two seasons, the dry season and the wet season. So farmers who may be used to growing certain crops may now have to investigate what is the best type of crop to grow between that period of time, because as climate change escalates and gets worse, then we will have less and less total annual rainfall that's predicted for all of the Caribbean. So we have to adjust, we have to adapt. This even goes down to business. Because think about it, if El Nino is having various or varying impacts in, let's say, Southwest United States, where it's very rainy, but here in the Caribbean it's very dry, then even looking at procurement of goods and your supply chains, where you source your produce, where you source your goods that you then bring into the Caribbean to sell, is influenced by climate change. And then are these supply chains also resilient to climate change? This is all now a part of the whole adaptation of life that we will have for climate change. So it is a very very powerful risk and change agent as well.
Now, are there any solutions that we can undertake, say, at a national level? I know you talked about at the individual level, being careful about going outside during the high midday or during noon, things like that. What about at the national level? Can there be anything put in place?
Well, I think in terms of this is what we will consider biorisk, and this is what we deal with at the Center for Biosecurity Studies. We have to become better at leveraging the climate and meteorological prediction forecasting tools, because that can help us to drive our decision making. So I believe that we have to design systems, excuse me, systems that are more resilient to climate change, but also incorporate climate change and climatic and meteorological factors into everyday decision making. Let's take it on a very basic, simple level. When you're, well, for instance, when I'm actually doing my laundry, I check the weather forecast to see if it's going to rain, because I like to hang my laundry out on the line, and I wouldn't put that out if I know that it's forecasted to have, a lot of thunderstorms and showers. So that is at a very basic level. Now, what I think we have to understand is how climate change and, more importantly, climatic factors and meteorological factors can actually enhance our efficiency for decision making in everyday life. And that is what we are going to try to work on. For instance, predictive tools for emergence of infectious diseases, also in terms of trade and commerce, how that influences demand for consumers and also the supply out in the external markets as well. So there's a lot of work we can do, but it takes time and it takes financing to do that. But we are very committed at the UWI to assist the nation and also the region in doing this. We actually just completed with a team from the UWI a predictive tool for wildfires. So we will be rolling that out with the Barbados Fire Service because they would be able to utilize that predictive tool to estimate how many fires and within a particular month, how many fires will occur. And then we will refine that model and also bring it down to the parish level so that that can assist them with their operational management to know how many persons need to be on staff. Also with the BWA as well, because that is also an important factor. In terms of non-revenue water that the fire service utilizes to assist in the management of these wildfires. So that is just one prime example, but we have to build more and more capacity in that regard.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Kirk Douglas, Director of the Center for Biosecurity at UWI Cave Hill Campus. Thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you too. Have a great day.
And you. Well, coming up on the CBC Morning Report, another food crisis averted with an extended grain deal between Russia and Ukraine. The Big Bajan Bake Off is back, and the top 5 have been selected. Tune in Fridays at 8:03 p.m. to find out who will be crowned the best Bajan baker.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel.
Russia has agreed to extend a deal that has allowed Ukraine to ship grain through the Black Sea to parts of the world struggling with hunger. That's a boost to the global food security after more than a year-old war drove up prices.
Carrying 30,000 tons of corn, this ship could have been the last to leave Ukrainian ports if Russia hadn't agreed to extend the deal to allow vital grain deliveries. The pact, brokered by the UN and Turkey in Istanbul last summer, allows safe export of Ukrainian and Russian produce through Black Sea to the world markets. A joint coordination center with representatives from the 3 countries and the UN was set up in Istanbul to oversee the shipments.
The importance of the Black Sea Initiative and the parallel memorandum of understanding between the UN and the Russian Federation is clear. These agreements matter for global food security. Ukrainian and Russian products feed the world.
The initiative has enabled the safe shipment of about 30 million tons of crops since July 2022 and helped alleviate the global food crisis aggravated by Moscow's invasion of Ukraine, one of the world's leading grain exporters.
The duration of the latest extension was about to end. With the efforts of our country and the support of our Russian and Ukrainian friends, it is agreed that the Black Sea grain corridor will be extended for 2 months.
The deal is now safe for 2 more months, but lack of coordination between Ukraine and Russia blunt its effectiveness.
There is a chance, not in words but in deeds, to help ensure global food security, and first of all to help the countries that need it the most. Secondly, our fundamental assessments of the Istanbul Agreements of July 22, 2022 have not changed, and the distortions of their implementation should be corrected as quickly as possible.
Kiev accuses Moscow of deliberately interrupting export inspections, while Moscow maintains that hurdles to their shipments have not been removed, despite the fact that their grains and fertilizers are immune from Western sanctions. The grain deal was extended once more after difficult talks between concerned parties and after Russia had threatened to withdraw. But Moscow's refusal to a longer extension is an indication that the crucial agreement is still fragile.
Ecuador's President Guillermo Lasso has dissolved the opposition-controlled National Assembly in a decree, bringing forward legislative and presidential elections. This happened a day after he presented his defense in an impeachment process against him.
Security forces have been deployed now outside the capital, Quito, just near the parliament. The opposition has accused Lasso of allowing a corrupt contract between a state company and a private business to go ahead, although he denies he did anything wrong. The president will now govern by decree until fresh elections can be held. That's a process that could take up to 6 months.
Ecuador needs a new political and social pact to allow it to escape from the serious political crisis the country is in, and which unfortunately is getting worse day by day. We need to move forward to a solution that can give hope to Ecuadorian families for a future of well-being and stability.
The armed forces and the national police will maintain their position of absolute respect for the Constitution and the laws and their decision to protect the rights, liberties and guarantees of citizens within the framework of the rule of law. The decision of the constitutional president of the Republic to dissolve the National Assembly is based on Article 148 of the Constitution of the Republic. It is therefore subject to a constitutional norm and must be fully and completely respected by all citizens.
One of the big fears here is that the opposition could call to mass protests, and we could be again in the scenario in which Ecuador was just a year ago, when there were demonstrations in a lot of the countries. Some of them turned violent, which almost toppled President Guillermo Lasso at the time. But so far, the main opposition party has said that while they believe Lasso's decision to dissolve Congress is illegal, because they say that the legal circumstances that are necessary for the president to do that don't exist right now. Among them, the fact that they say there's no internal commotion, which is one of the issues that are required. They said that they see this as an opportunity for Ecuadorians to choose a new government, and that they will, that they agree with early elections. Another party, the Social Christians, instead said that they will try to challenge Lasso's decision in the courts. Another thing very important to look at is the announcement that the biggest indigenous organization in the country, CONAIE, will make. That is expected to happen any time now. They could also decide to mobilize their people to the street and to start protests. We're waiting to hear that. But as things look right now, it's most likely we will indeed go to these early elections.
Time for us to preview now what's coming up in Morning Barbados. Today we salute many exceptional youth. The Barbados Youth Ambassador to the United Nations Youth Advisory Group for Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean, Tayer Bulbulia, will be around to share with us what he has been up to. Also, Jonathan Daniel, who's founder of Positive Vibes Creative Revolution. He will share all that he's doing in schools and how he plans to expand. We invite the Rotary Club of Barbados West to tell us about a hearing project that is happening in 2023, and the NCF will be along to talk about the visual arts opening, along with the curator of one of the showpieces, Onika Small. That and a whole lot more is coming up on today's presentation of Morning Barbados. But we have more news, sports and weather after this break.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world. Enjoy movie.
The Caribbean Examinations Council is investigating concerns of an exam breach. CXC says it is aware of what has been termed as a disturbing situation where the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate with Paper 2, which was written yesterday, was leaked. CXC says the matter is of great concern to them and they will make a definitive statement once the investigation is completed. The examination body says candidates can rest assured that the matter is being treated with the highest urgency. Government will not be deviating from its 10-year-old method of manually removing the mounds of Sargassum seaweed from beaches across the island. Environment Minister Adrian Ford gave the assurance yesterday during a media conference at his ministry's Warren's offices. As it stands, teams from the National Conservation Commission and the Barbados Youth Advance Corps will continue to assist in the cleanups, as it is a tried, tested, and proven method. Once collected, the seaweed will be bagged, transported to an area in St. John because of its non-porous soil composition, which prevents seepage into the water supply.
What I saw over the last couple of weeks with an excavator being used in another country to remove the sargassum, I am saying in Barbados it will not happen as long as I am alive. Not under this responsible government. We are not going to put an excavator, although it may be a faster mechanical way to remove the seaweed. We are not going to do it. We have been using manual labor because we understand the importance of preserving our beaches.
Minister Ford adds the stance will aid in protecting the marine biodiversity, particularly the crabs and turtles.
The turtles are an endangered species now as I speak. The hawksbill, they are migrating more east. We are seeing less numbers. Leatherback, the same thing. Green turtle, the sightings have been reduced to less than 10 a year. Not good enough at all. So the importance of us removing the sargassum in a safe way, again, we must recognize that this is no monkey business that we are doing.
Meanwhile, it's not only increased temperatures that Barbadians should be bracing for over the next couple months, but more seaweed as well. The latest predictions have been shared by Chief Fisheries Officer Dr. Shelly-Ann Cox.
Morning, the University of the West Indies, their Center for Resource Management and Environmental Studies would have released the latest issue of the Sargassum Sub-Regional Outlook Bulletin for the Eastern Caribbean. And of course, there is not good news as it relates to the influxes. They will be severe for the next 3 months, especially in Barbados. We can stay comforted though that it will be less sargassum this year than last year, June, but we will still get continuous influxes.
And the fisheries chief has issued a word of caution to fisherfolk.
Influxes have significantly affected the fisherfolk as it relates to the fouling of gear. It also has presented an opportunity for harvesting amberfish. I know a lot of persons have developed a taste for the almond fish also referred to as Almaco Jack. So we're hoping that we will receive some increased landings over the summer months of those, but we want to caution our longline captains, and especially our iceboat captains and others at sea, to be careful as they traverse the sea with the large mats.
The International Development Bank, in collaboration with the government of Guyana, has launched a loan program to support climate-resilient infrastructure. The IDB is providing $100 million, while the government is providing $17 million to advance safe and efficient roadways using materials that can withstand all weather conditions. NCN reports.
Under this program, the East Bank Demerara corridor will be rehabilitated, easing traffic congestion and enhancing the aesthetics while showcasing destination Guyana. This upgrade will cover from Good Success to Tamari, a total of 24 kilometers with improved traffic safety, drainage and paths for cyclists and pedestrians, among other features. Minister of Public Works Warren Edgell says while this project will be a challenge because of the populated corridor, stakeholder engagement is a priority.
Engagements with them as stakeholders, because from time to time, even though you have a project plan, changes might need to be developed in keeping with what is happening at a particular time. We could predict, and based upon some predictions we have plans, but we will have to continue to be engaged again. The police force, the security forces, the private sector. We'll have to continue to engage with them to ensure that we have flow, agreement.
Additionally, Edgell addressed possible encumbrances along the roadway and the alternative measures that will be implemented.
We are prepared, we have been doing so. We are prepared to work with the truckers so that they could get their stand sell, they could have a proper place to park. We are prepared to work with the hire car drivers to ensure that they could ply their trade.
Let's take a look now at sports. Empire kept up their pace to remain in the top 4 of the BFA Premier League with a 3-2 victory over UE Blackbirds at the Wildy Turf. Empire are 4th in the standings on 19 points, while Paradise are 2 points adrift after they lost to an improving Watton side 3-1. CBC's Damien Best reports.
Premier League football showdown, here we go. 35th minute, Watton with possession versus Paradise. Good save by the goalkeeper. Paradise don't clear their lines, and Elijah Downey has a crack at it. Watton on the score sheet. No more goals in the first half. 64th minute now. Switch of ends. Paradise with this golden opportunity. I mean, there was time and space. All that was needed. A neat finish. Exceptional effort, however, by Shahika Duke. Access denied. So you know how things turned out after that. Watton on the move in the 64th. The offside trap malfunction to Shane Lord. Slides it beyond Jerea Malcolm to make it Watton 2, Paradise 0. 10 minutes later, Paradise did a great job to keep this one alive. And the defenders at bay. Armando Sugar Lashley arriving on the scene. Lethal from the league's top scorer. Paradise trail by 1 goal. Well, he could have added another one to his growing list. Pings this one off the crossbar. Watton under siege. But in this Christchurch derby, it will be the boys in red who have 3 reasons to celebrate. 4 minutes into time added on. Keymar John seals the deal. 3-1 victory to Watton over Paradise. Second fixture of the night, Empire in red playing UWI Blackbirds. UE with a long-range missile snuffed out by keeper Jerome Blackman. Empire's time to shine. Free kick from the right. A back heel of excellence in the 8th minute from John Hawksworth. Empire over the moon. Now Reece Stevens brought the
Before we go, let's take a look at today's weather Forecast, the barometric pressure stands at 1013.7 millibars. It's 26.5 degrees Celsius outside. Relative humidity stands at 82%, and the winds are blowing out of the east-northeast at 13 kilometers per hour. General conditions fair with slight haze. Sea conditions smooth to moderate in open water with swells peaking at 1.5 meters. And here's a look at your tides for today. The general forecast for Barbados will be a mix of sunshine and clouds with a few brief, isolated, light showers. And into the evening, you can expect similar conditions, a mix of clear skies and clouds with a few brief scattered light showers as well. And that's today's morning report. Our next newscast is Newsday at 12 noon here on TV8, followed by The World at 1 via our radio network of stations on 100.7 FM, 98.1 The One, and 94.7 FM. Morning Barbados starts now.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning, Barbados, good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, 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 morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, morning Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, morning Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
Good morning on this Thursday, May 18th. So good to have you in company. Welcome to another presentation of Morning Barbados. A little delayed, but we apologize for the technical glitch at the top. Nonetheless, it's good to have you in company, and we welcome you for another presentation today. I most certainly hope you've been getting some rest. As we heard from the doctors yesterday in talking about World Hypertension Day, they said that getting adequate rest is a big part of staying healthy, especially for those of us who are early risers, whether it's because of work or you just like to get up and get that worm, the proverbial worm, early in the morning. So we have lots planned for you today on Morning Barbados, but we'll be highlighting a lot of work of exceptional youth here in Barbados and indeed across the world. So we're going to have Ronald King, the Barbadian gender rights advocate and director of Life in Leggings, the Caribbean Alliance Against Gender-Based Violence. She is just back from a forum which took place from the 25th to the 27th of April, and it really looked at young people and how they could engage with governments. She's back in Barbados now, so she's going to give us an update on all that happened with it. We also get an update on her initiative and the wonderful work that they have done and are continuing to do all across the region. Also, Tayer Bubulia, Barbados Youth Ambassador to the United Nations Youth Advisory Group for Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean, will be on. Again, he's been out. He attended a meeting, the United Nations Economic and Social Council's Youth Forum. So we catch up with him and find out how he is flying the Barbados flag, how he is sharing about the youth of Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean, and how it's being received at the international level. We will tell you more about that when he comes through. Also, there's a foundation called the Tyree Caesar Foundation. They have a 5K walk coming up, and it really is an initiative that's fighting against gun violence, something that really we're struggling with here in our country and many other Caribbean countries and indeed across the world. So I'm very intrigued to speak with him about that and the various people who are part of that foundation to tell us how they are trying to curb gun violence, especially here in Barbados. The founder of Positive Vibes Creative Revolution, we shared that with you last week. It's a young man who went into the Dighton Griffith School, where he also went to school, and you know, his idea was to create a positive vibe, a positive situation with the young people there, have them share all the positive things that they love. And we're going to tell you how he is moving to carry this initiative all across the island. So all that is coming up, but we're going to get started with two men who are already in the studio with me, and they're here also to tell us about another very positive initiative that is coming up under the auspices of the Rotary Club of Barbados West. So let's go right ahead and welcome John Hunt, member of the Rotary Club of Barbados West and co-chair of the Ellen Steinbach Hearing Project 2023, and Martin Steinbach, who is the member of the Rotary Club of Barbados West and co-chair also of that project. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I see you have your coffee already, so that's always a good sign. But welcome to our studios. First of all, tell me a little bit about this Ellen Steinbach Hearing Project 2023. What is it?
Okay. Good morning, everyone. And first, I would like to thank, on behalf of the Rotary Club of Barbados West, CBC, and the team here for allowing us once again to be part of the program. The Ellen Steinbach Hearing Project, it originated 3 years ago, where we did a pilot project at the Good Shepherd Primary School, where we went out and we tested all of the infant B students to see if anyone had hearing impairments. It was very emotional in the end and very touching to everyone in the club. We found one young man who we fitted with hearing aids, made a major difference in his life at that age. And coming out of that, my mum was totally deaf as well, and after the Good Shepherd Primary School initiative, my mum passed, and the club, with the assistance of the family, started this island-wide campaign to test all of the primary school kids in infant B in every government second and primary school.
Wow, I'm interested in finding out a little bit more about, more of the findings. Interesting to hear that you found a young man who needed, hearing aids at that age. So let's welcome to the conversation now Dr. Mariella Stabler, who is with the Ellen Steinbach Hearing Project as well. She's joining us virtually. So good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me again.
Absolutely. So let's go to you, John. Talk to us about what the plans are in 2023 now that you've established that it's a worthwhile project which is needed from that very early stage, what are the plans to enhance as we move forward?
Yeah, so it was, as with any project of this magnitude, it's been a difficult start, but it's been slow. But we are now ramping up to a point where we're actually screening 4 days a week. We've screened almost 200 kids so far this year. It's about a tenth of where we will be. Last year we screened almost 2,000 kids. So it's been a slow start, but we're moving forward. It's 68 primary schools. We're doing sometimes almost 3 primary schools a day. So it can be tough on all of our volunteers moving from one school to the next to the next. So we really have to thank everyone for taking the time out of their day. And I've got one volunteer in particular that's actually volunteered every single session. So she's giving 4 days a week.
Wow, Dr. Stabler, I would imagine that this can be cost restrictive. It must be a pretty expensive project. So how are you going to undertake or underwrite much of the costs that come along with doing this project?
Well, we've been very fortunate that the Rotary Club of Barbados West has been able to finance a lot of the equipment that's needed going forward. A lot of that is already purchased. We're purchasing some new equipment now to expand the project. But it's really been a big part of the Rotary Club Barbados West, and their fundraising partners really helped to steer the project forward, as well as I really appreciate that the project is becoming more self-sufficient, meaning me as the audiologist and my father, Mr. Ben Stabler, are not having to be as hands-on as we were. And so it can be more the volunteers that are prepared from the last 2 years. And so that allows us to be more in the office and support the kids that have been diagnosed and found and support them however needed. And the project can then go forward and go forward.
I know that all you're doing will help to add to the amount of data that we have available to us about what's happening with our children in this regard. But I'm wondering, Martin, because in your rationale for the project, you say that Barbadian students suffer from a higher incidence of hearing loss than those in developed countries. I'm wondering if there's been any information that has come to the fore as to why this is. Is it simply that we're not testing at birth, or is there something happening in our environment that is causing a higher incidence of hearing loss among our students?
I think I will defer that one to Dr. Stabler, if you don't mind.
I don't mind. Dr. Stabler, come on in.
Yes, please, yes. I'm not sure that it's necessarily something in our environment. I just believe that we're not screening all the babies at birth, and therefore these kids do get missed further along the line, which is why this project is so essential, because obviously we can't go back in time and screen them at birth. But we can catch them early enough in their school years that they don't have to struggle then throughout their education. But I don't believe that there's anything in our environment, as I said, that is causing kids here in Barbados to have a higher instance of hearing loss than somewhere else. We just need to make sure we're screening all of our kids.
All right, so there are a lot of moving parts with this. I'm coming back to you, Martin. How are you guys? I know that the two of you co-chair the hearing project. So, what's it like coordinating and moving around to all of these schools, and most certainly working with some of these younger students?
It can be challenging. I've used the opportunity to thank the Ministry of Education. They are a major partner in ensuring that notifications goes out to all of the schools, because we can't do anything without the blessings of the Ministry of Education. They have been 110% supportive of the project, and the principals at each school. So John is the one actually carrying the main workload in doing up the schedule of which schools. We have the experience from last year where we know which schools are located close to each other, which are the larger schools and the smaller schools, so we know when to combine visits to schools. But working with the little kids, I went to one school on Friday, and it certainly was I found it emotional. It is interesting to see how excited they are to get the headset put on their, because it's just a headset that goes over their ears and an audiometer being used to test their hearing. But they are, at that age, they're just so cute and excitable just at these little things. So I don't know if John wants to add anything.
Well, that's what I was about to ask, how the hearing test is actually done. And if the children are nervous, I know in our day, you know, now I might be a little more nervous about getting an injection than we were at primary school when they came around to give the injections. You know, everybody was a little, you know, antsy but excited nonetheless. So talk to us about the actual procedure, how it's done.
So I think it does help that they would have possibly seen their peers getting it done before or heard of it happening last year. But we alleviate those concerns by telling them, you know, we're going to play a game, and the game is when you hear a noise in your ear, raise your hand. When you stop hearing the noise, put your hand down. So we get that mindset going into it, and once you get their cooperation initially, it goes smoothly. You know, once they want to help you, it's golden. And you put the headset on. It's a very simple audiometer. I've trained all of our screeners in doing it. It's a very easy test for them.
All right, Dr. Stabler, what are we hoping for as an outcome for this project, even just for the short or medium term in 2023? What are the hopes?
I do apologize. I hope my dog is not coming through too
Dog
loud.
Dog definitely wants to be a part of the presentation.
She's doing her job.
We understand.
All the early morning walkers, she's on them. In terms of an outcome, okay, so, you know, nobody's ever hoping to say, oh yes, you know, I can't wait to find kids with hearing loss. Great. You know, nobody ever wants to know that their child has something going on, that they may be different from other kids, but still we're eager to just be able to give these devices and make sure the kids don't have any additional handicaps that they don't need. You know, having hearing loss doesn't mean you have an intellectual disability. It is similar to glasses. You just need a little extra help with one of your senses. If we say in Barbados we have 1,000 births a year, we would expect on average to have and find about 3 kids that have permanent hearing loss and that would need hearing aids. So it's not a huge number, but there's only a couple people that are doing testing at birth, and so a lot of the kids are going to be missed, which is exactly what we found last year in the project, which was hugely successful. And so, I mean, that's what we're hoping again to find this year. We may not find the 3 because we're only testing infants Bs, but whatever we find is still towards our goal.
That's excellent. And I also like, Martin, what you said about the fact that you found one young man that you were able then to outfit with the requisite hearing appliance for him to be able to move forward. So is that also in train this time around, if there are any cases that are found?
So the first pilot project at Good Shepherd, we found 1. Last year we found 4.
Wow.
4 kids, and through the donations from the Steinbach family and from Rotary Club of Barbados West and Scotiabank, the other main sponsor at the time, we were able, with Dr. Stabler's assistance, to fully fund the cost of hearing aids for all 4 of those kids. So there are 5 kids now that have been outfitted with hearing aids as a result of the project so far. There were several other kids last year that were found to have varying degrees of blockages, wax, liquid, that again the Rotary Club of Barbados West was able to fully fund and pay the cost of the ENT specialist, Dr. Stabler's efforts and that kind of stuff. So we've been fortunate that Dr. Stabler and her dad Ben have been willing participants. They have given us things at significantly reduced cost. They've been able to source the hearing aids. When the international suppliers heard it was a Rotary project, we got them at a significantly reduced price. So the hope is that this year and for the foreseeable future that we will continue, to the extent that the budget allows, to fully pay for the cost of any intervention required for anyone identified.
All right, John, I know, as we mentioned before, this can be an expensive undertaking. You talked about there being help from corporate Barbados. You know, is there anything you'd like to say to anyone who might be in a position to be able to come on board at this stage and even help so that you can make the project even bigger than it is, or make it as it is even more successful?
All right, I'll take that one for John. Yes, the corporate Barbados are welcome to support the project. We have been, again, we have one external donor so far. The Peter Booth Foundation has been very generous in contributing this year. We haven't gone out with any urgent demands to corporate Barbados, because through the funding of the Steinbach family, who've committed initially for 5 years, and we will continue, I can tell you. As I said, my mum was totally deaf. I wear hearing aids, because Dr. Stable assisted me a few years ago and fitted me with hearing aids. It's something close to the family's heart. We thought it was a fitting legacy for my mum. The Rotary Club of Barbados West always are looking for projects. So between our funding from the family, the club's funding, and other external donors, we are trying to build up a fund to sustain the project for 10, 15, 20 years, and maybe infinitely, just like we have a scholarship fund going at the moment. So anyone from corporate Barbados who wants to be part of this can reach out to any member of the Rotary Club of Barbados West. We have a website, easily found, and we will take some information and share some information with you.
Okay, anything you'd like to add, John?
If you'd like to participate in the project by actually volunteering, we are in demand for volunteer screeners. Like I said, it's a very simple test, which means I can train you how to do it in 15 minutes or so. It's not that difficult. We've got people committing sometimes just once a week, and through their help I've built out a roster, and we're going to get this done by the end of term.
Oh, that's wonderful. Dr. Stabler, a question for people who might be watching. As you said, you're only screening at the infants B level, but for parents who might be watching and thinking, this might apply to my child, there may be some challenges. What would you say are some signs that they can look out for, or even teachers, for students who might be experiencing hearing loss or reduced hearing?
Absolutely. So some simple signs to look for at home. Does your child like to listen to the TV or any music at a higher than normal level? Can they hear you, or are they responding to you even when you're talking behind them, so that they, can't read their lips if that's what they're doing? If you just notice that there's a change in how, in terms of your communication with them. Another obvious one would be for younger kids, if there is a speech delay or anything a little off with their speech, that might be an indication that something is going on with their hearing. Not a definite, because some kids just have a speech delay just because, but it can be an indication. At school, hearing loss tends to show itself a lot as inattention, or sometimes a behavioral problem. Just simply the student may not be responding to the teacher as the teacher thinks they should be. But yeah, a lot of inattention, behavioral problems, so that's something to pay attention to in the schools.
It's so interesting that even in Barbados, our terminology, our parlance, the way we talk, to hear you talk about hearing loss or reduced hearing being deemed inattention, even in that instance, you hear teachers talking about students being hard ears. So, I mean, even that is really curious to even think about how that in itself came about. In speaking even more about this with students, apart from the signs that you're looking for with them, is there an opportunity for students who aren't being screened through the program to reach out to Rotary, or is this only limited to the schools being screened?
Not limited. What we have done last year and will continue to do is we have said to the principals, if there's any child in any other class that you think may have a hearing impairment, we are willing and able to test them when we are present on the school test in the infants B. And we have tested a few kids outside of the infants B. We do not have the resources at the moment to test the entire school population. But again, the club has discussed the possibility of expanding the project because we do recognize, given, I mean, Dr. Stable could reinforce it, but here we thought, wow, we found 4 kids already, and this is way and above the number that was projected by the statistics and how many you expected. So, yeah, we will test kids if it's needed. And I take the opportunity to say to parents, it's a simple test, it's not invasive, it doesn't hurt, it doesn't scare the kids. We need you to sign those consent forms and return them when you get them from the school. And more importantly, when the screeners identify that your child may have a hearing loss, the second step then is they're referred to Dr. Stabler's team for a follow-up test to double check. And we have had, unfortunately, instances of kids not going that second step, the parents for whatever reason not forwarding on the kids to be tested the second time to ensure there isn't a loss.
Wow, very interesting. We're going to wrap by Dr. Stabler. One more thing. Is there any information, any data to support that these days so many children are using the in-ear devices, the AirPods, the headsets and stuff like that? Is there any evidence to support that this could be contributing to increased hearing loss as well?
That problem has actually been building for quite a few years. So when I started my program, my training in 2014, I remember the professors starting to talk about audiologists were starting to see kids that had some slight noise-induced hearing losses because of extended headphone use. As we see, and that's just has been building more and more with more kids turning to gaming on all of those activities where they might be using headphones more and more. That's not necessarily what we're finding in the schools, but that is definitely a problem that is growing in the population. So yes, something to think about.
All right, thank you, Dr. Mariella Stabler of the Ellen Steinbach Hearing Project 2023. Co-chairs Martin Steinbach and John Hunt also joined us this morning to talk about it. Lots of food for thought. I'm definitely thinking about it, even though the signs that you talked about, Dr. Stabler, all sound like my nephews and my daughter. When you stand behind them and talk, can they hear you? I'm not sure they can't hear me, they just aren't answering. You know, things like that. But definitely a worthwhile project. So thanks to Rotary Club of Barbados West. And, you know, I want to pledge my commitment. I will come out and volunteer and bring a few members of the team along because it's such a worthwhile project. Let me know and I'll come here to do the training. Oh, wonderful.
And I also want to thank all of our partners. I want to thank Ross University, BCC, the Rotaract screeners, the Rotary screeners, and of course thank you Mariella and Ben Stabler for their commitment.
All right, wonderful. We're going to take a break here on Morning Barbados and come back after this. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@ mornin.cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Because you love English Premier League, MCTV has got it back. Now you can watch all the games of the English Premier League.
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
7 o'clock in Barbados and across the Eastern Caribbean. Let's go right ahead and welcome Rodney Eiffel, Visual Arts Officer with the National Cultural Foundation, and Onika Small, Curator, to Morning Barbados. Today we're talking about the NCF Visual Arts opening. Good morning.
Good morning, Barbados.
Good morning, Barbados. A special hello to you, Onika.
Special hello to you.
Rodney, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad.
No,
Onika and I go way back.
We go way back. And we still gonna go way forward.
Okay, all right, Rodney. Let's talk about this big opening that's coming up. I'm always excited with everything that's happening around the festival. And we have the NCF Visual Art opening coming up, which will be held at the Queen's Park Gallery. So tell us more about all we can expect.
Yeah, well, we start the season off in the right way with art of all things. And we on May the 25th, we're going to I'll be launching the official preview of the Central Bank sponsored, and we like to thank our sponsors, the Central Bank of Barbados, exhibitions. And it will go in 3 series under the general theme, We Came on Merchant Ships. And that theme will be broken into various sub-themes per exhibition. But the first exhibition will involve the whole ideology of movement, and our curator will expand on developing the themes there as we collaborated. And then also we would also look at the need for looking at intangible experiences in terms of exploring in the second exhibition or memories and identity. And in the final exhibition, we look at the rites and rituals and religion associated with these various themes. And the first one will open to the public from May the 26th to June the 22nd. The second exhibition will open from June the 30th till July the 27th. And the third will open to the public that I mentioned from August the 4th to the 31st. Just wanted to get those critical dates into the public to record. And we are really enjoying this course. We have some 29 artists registered for the first show. And we are pretty much ready to go next week come Thursday for the official preview, invitation preview, and then open to the public on the 25th. So very exciting in the work.
Rodney, before you run off, tell us how these intangible elements are going to be incorporated into the presentation.
A mixture of tangible and, for example, the first exhibition we want to lead off, UNESCO is always commemorating activities associated with slavery, etc. So we also wanted to join that energy and present these exhibitions. And that's the whole idea of coming on merchant ships, looking at the practice of mercantilism. In the 16 to 1800s, the British and other superpowers at the time really tried to look at expanding, and in terms of not internal trade, but in terms of trying to maximize on colonizing people and doing things of this nature, activities of that nature, in terms of transporting labor to the places like the Caribbean. So you have that element of triangular slave trade that happened, and they really benefited from such an activity. And people like us were basically transposed, uprooted from places like Africa, various places, and then obviously in various forms and in various ways we were exploring the various ways that this movement occurred, the various ways that people were forced to move in terms of forced labor, in terms of free labor. We were looking at things of that nature, and in terms of how we arrived visually and exploring it and interrogating it visually in terms of this space, because the truth is all of this still is going on. All of this was still to benefit the colonial powers of the time, and they're perhaps still benefiting in a great way from this enterprise that was embarked upon. And it also set the scene for practices such as capitalism to come about, for example, which is so much ridiculed by the Frankfurt School and Marxist ideology. It also set the scene for all of these activities to occur. The Columbian Exchange occurred where things were traded back and forth. So we're just exploring the idea of trade and trading human capital, trade and how we were commodified as a people and how we are basically ending up where we're ending up linguistically, in terms of trying to fight to preserve our memories, in terms of the physical contributions we would have had, in terms of that movement explored, and all these other things that are tossed up in terms of interrogating that whole activity that happened such a long time ago.
We came on merchant ships movement. Onika, let's talk about the various artists and the pieces that make up this installation.
I have to say I'm really excited to hear how well Rodney put that whole thing together, because there's a lot in these exhibitions. Curating this one has not been an easy task, simply because it's a painful period in our history, especially the show, which focuses a lot on the transatlantic slave trade. So we are very excited, though, to be presenting the information through multimedia presentations. So we have photography, we have digital work, we also have sculptures, some amazing pieces by amazing artists. We want to keep them on the wrap so that you come excited on the Friday, the 26th, to see the show. We also have photography. It's mixed media, multimedia, all genre shows. We are very happy to be presenting this year.
All right. So talk to us about the ins and outs of it. I know it gets started on Thursday, May 25th. How long does it run? How can we participate? Are the pieces open for purchase? Rodney.
Well, certainly, just mentioned we have 29 wonderful artists. We have so many artists on the island, and I'm glad that they responded to the team, because the whole idea of introducing teams like this is to get people to think, to research, and then you become better for it, because at the end of the day, you are now collecting a pool of knowledge that you were gone away with in terms of your own personal interrogation and presenting your sensibility to the public. So based on that, as I mentioned, the first exhibition movement, that will take place to the public from the 26th of May to the 22nd of June. And as part of the whole process of what Onika lovely and wonderfully does in terms of the exhibition design, the layout for the public to have a nice general flow to engage with the individual pieces. That is also wonderful to really see as part of that enterprise. And the fact that all various activities taking place within each of the exhibition components. For example, we would have reached out to the archives and encouraged them for visual artists and creators to open up a way where you can ancestrally trace your roots. So activities like that, we like to, really talk about their people in Barbados go and interrogate archives more, finding out more about your past, etc. We are also embarking on some mini satellite exhibitions with niches within various governments on the ongoing plans. And we would like to just work a link to the primary exhibitions as they move around. So you're looking to expand the exhibition as only physical, but then coming to the intangible aspects here in the second exhibition, getting and we're looking at youth and seniors. We're looking at and shared games that were passed on, like war, or that generation can engage on technology that can sometimes keep generations apart, because we often see young people into their phones, etc. But we want people to sit down and have that face-to-face discussion on how we used to do things in the island, or how people now engage with things that we can understand each other more generationally through the process of art. And then in terms of the religious aspect, which is very, very important, we look at not only Christian, Hindu, or Baptist, but we want to have an overall view on the right here. That's like basically how scientists are interrogating how we arrived to the James Webb telescope and looking at the Big Bang Theory. We also want through the process of art to look at how we arrived here as a people, how this whole movement impacted on us. And this is the best place in the Queen's Park Gallery to interrogate this. And we want the island to come on down, and it's free to the public. And the exhibitions will be open on Saturdays, 10 a.m. once they and people are engaged in the art.
Oh boy, Rodney, I lost some of what you were saying. Technology, as great as it is, sometimes we have some challenges. So I lost a bit of what you were saying between there, but I got the very gist of it. And I hope that everybody viewing at home did as well, in encouraging people to come out and be a part of the exhibition. I know you've curated many shows over the years, many shows over the years, Onika. You mentioned earlier that because of the particular area that we're dealing with, the transatlantic slave trade, you know, is a particularly riveting show that we're putting on in terms of the pieces and so on. For you as curator, you know, how are you kind of able to bridge that gap with, because we're talking a lot more now about the intangible heritage with what we can actually see, not touch, but see in the museum when we come. How are you able to kind of bridge that gap and make the connection for people between what they see and do every day and our history that's not necessarily seen or felt in a tangible way, and make the connection to what they're looking at once they're there?
I always believe that there's a saying that we are our ancestors, and a lot of times that we continue to live life but within this present dispensation. So one of the things that we've been thinking about as we're creating the exhibition is, in that era, trading in people, bodies was accepted. You know, what are we doing now? What are we trading in now that we feel to be acceptable, that in 200 years or 300 years will not be acceptable? So it's one of these exhibitions that calls us to do a lot of self-reflection of where we are. We also know that the chains and shackles are gone, but in a lot of ways, there's still a lot of mental shackles. So the artists are looking at the reality of the trade. So some of the images are not easy to look at because the trade, when you do the reading, one of the things that has stuck with me over these last couple of weeks is how the boats, how the ships smelt when a slave or an enslaved person entered the bowels of these slavers, because people were sitting in their own feces and all kinds of excrement. So when we think of those smells, you know, that's not something that we can capture in the gallery, but I think some of the artwork speaks to the pain of the situation. But we also have, coming out of that pain, a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of, like, it's almost as though we've been destined to be here. And we also have quite a few pieces that are abstract pieces, which looks at the continuation of time and the continuation of the cosmos and why we get to where we are as a people. So it's really quite an interesting and exciting exhibition.
I certainly look forward to coming down and being a part of that. So Rodney, I have here Thursday, May 25th, but I know I heard you say something about the 26th. So is it starting on Thursday, May 25th? Yes?
Officially, yes, by invitation only. And I would like to emphasize that, where you have a formal program to launch the season, to launch things off. But then certainly to the public, as I would have explained in my opening, that you then have to the 26th. The public can come down between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. from, I believe, Onika, Saturdays, Mondays to Saturdays, and look at the shows. And we like crowds to come down, and in particular, any summer groups or any church groups, persons of that nature that will be on the island at that time. People come from Martin. We will encourage people to come down and view the exhibitions in Queensborough. It's a lovely place to relax and also a lovely place to engage art in its true essence and pureness, and support our artists as well, also with sales, and, you know, basically support the movement of the visual arts in Barbados.
All right, thank you so much. Rodney Eiffel, Visual Arts Officer with the NCF, and Onika Small, Curator. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you very much for having us.
Make sure you get out to that exhibition. Coming up, we're talking with the young lady from Life in Leggings. We're going to find out what she's up to. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Because you love English Premier League, MCTV has got it back. Now you can watch all the games of the English Premier League plus UEFA and NFL on MCTV. Current customers can upgrade to Matchback Extra at just $23. Call MCTV today at 228-6288 to upgrade, or come in and sign up for a new service. Football fans, let MCTV get you back in the game.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
The Big Bajan Bake Off is back, and the top 5 have been selected. Tune in Fridays at 8:03 p.m. to find out who will be crowned the best Bajan baker.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Welcome back on this Thursday morning, already May 18th. Hey, now, a little while ago, Barbadian gender rights advocate and founder of the regional Life in Leggings movement attended the Economic and Social Council Youth Forum at the United Nations headquarters in New York City. We'd now like to invite Ronell King to come in and share with us. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
All right, good to have you with us. First of all, for people who might not know, talk to us about how your entire movement has been advancing. We're talking about the Life in Leggings movement.
Okay, again, thanks for having me. So where we are, So in 2019, we started an initiative called Pink Parliament, which seeks to encourage girls between the ages of 14 and 20 to pursue careers in politics, understanding that, there's a lack of representation globally, obviously across women's participation in politics, but especially here in the region. And obviously, when you take into consideration the majority population of the country, you want to ensure that their voices are heard in decision-making spaces and at the highest level. And so we engage girls to obviously see themselves in these spaces and to pursue careers to advance gender equality. But also we are working with men and boys in our initiative, Redefining Masculinities, looking at ending violence and involving men and boys in that fight, recognizing as well that they make up a large majority of perpetrators of gender-based violence as it relates to women and girls, but also looking at the way violence is perpetrated by men against other vulnerable groups and populations.
Yeah, and you truly have been going through the region. I believe I was at one point a part of an offshoot of the initiative where a conference of sorts was held, and I was one of the speakers. We were interacting with some young women from Suriname, I believe it was. So it was a very interesting session that took place. Now, in visiting this forum that you're just back from, it was an opportunity for you to engage with relevant stakeholders in a way that you could be able to work toward transforming society, changing the thought processes, sharing your views on the sustainable development goals and notably getting feedback and so on. So generally, how do you feel about the way it unfolded? I understand it was in a hybrid format as we continue still, I would imagine, to look at how COVID-19 has affected the way we interact. So what was it like, and do you think you were able to accomplish all you wanted to in going to this forum?
Absolutely. So it was my first time attending the forum, and I went under the Office of the Secretary General's Envoy on Youth because I am one of the 17 young leaders of the SCGs in her office. And so I felt as though the forum, it was a very interesting space. It's very high level in terms of not just the policymakers that were there, but the youth. the youth, they brought very interesting solutions to the issues that were occurring globally, the issues that were occurring in their country. For example, I sat on a panel for UNICEF looking at the Global Partnership for Education, and they talked about the work that they're doing in developing countries. I sat on a panel with persons from Zimbabwe and India and learned about how they're tackling education in their countries and ensuring that, again, the most vulnerable and those who are often neglected in those situations, such as women and girls, are able to access quality education. And so I was able to share a little bit more about our education system and the work that is being done to ensure that as we advance towards, the digital age, but also looking at the setbacks that COVID caused, how are we navigating that?
Also, congratulations on your recent appointment as one of 17 UN recognized young leaders for the Sustainable Development Goals. Quite an accomplishment. In addition to all that you told us about what was discussed, what really is top of mind for you? It might be exactly what you talked about just now, but what's top of mind for you? And is it in line with the major issues that particularly women and girls and young people generally are facing in Barbados and this region?
So the issue that I would have been focused on and mainstreaming was gender equality, because when you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, the way that they're designed, the Sustainable Development Goals are these 17 goals that our countries are working towards and collaborating on to ensure peace and prosperity. And the way how these goals are set up, when you look at it, you can't achieve, let's say, ending poverty, or you can't achieve quality education without, again, focusing on the other intersecting issues, looking at, again, gender equality, looking at life on land, looking at life on water. They're all interconnected. And so for me, a lot of what I did was mainstream gender in these conversations to ensure that, again, when we're talking about these issues, we have to look at, again, who are most vulnerable or who are most affected when these issues do occur. And so a heavy focus was a session that I did on peace and prosperity and looking at, again, women's participation in decision making, because regardless of if it's war, regardless of if it is just day to day, the reality is that the burden falls a lot on women. And often they're excluded from these spaces where decisions are being made. They're not included in part of the solutions. And I don't mean like one woman on a panel of 40 men, if you get what I'm saying, the equal representation. And so we were talking about the future will look like if we place the heavy focus, put the resources, put the emphasis on gender equality. And so how do we achieve that?
Okay, that is quite the mouthful, but there's a lot that we definitely can delve into. Let's look now at the theme for the forum and how you feel that ties into all that you're trying to accomplish. I know that this time around there was a heavy focus on accelerating the recovery from coronavirus, and you also mentioned that, as well as full implementation of the 2030 agenda toward the Sustainable Development Goals. So how do you feel at the outset, now that it's finished, that the theme and what you went in hoping to accomplish, was it truly realized?
I think that we were able to have our voices heard, which is what the forum is for. This space, ECOSOC, again, high-level officials, government officials are able to put their perspectives. UN permanent missions are able to represent our country's views on these issues, but you don't often have a space to be able to have not just our voices heard, but to provide solutions and work in collaboration with, again, our governments and our permanent missions. And so I think when we look at it, our voices were heard, and now coming up for the SDG Summit in September, it will be a continuation of that. We were able to work pre to the forum with ECLAC in the Caribbean to be able to center the voices of Caribbean youth, because as you said, it was a hybrid format. Not all of us were able to attend. Some of us had, let's say, visa issues, or we just didn't have the resources to be able to be physically there in the space. So it was important to carve out our space for the Caribbean region so that our specific perspectives, our specific issues, looking at water scarcity, which is an issue that we talk about in Barbados, but also looking at how that manifests in other small island developing states, like looking at St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and, you know, what are the solutions for those issues? And again, looking at those who are, again, most vulnerable or most affected.
We're doing in the area of advocacy, it most certainly has gone way beyond just advocating for gender rights issues. It truly is all-encompassing. So thank you on behalf of all of the people you represent, and continue with the wonderful work.
Thank you. Thank you again for having me.
That's Ronell King. As we continue to highlight all the wonderful things youth across Barbados are doing, we are going to sit down with Tayer Bubulia next. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
$7.28. Somebody else who was at that forum we talked about in the last segment with Ronell King is also Tayer Bubulia, who is Barbados Youth Ambassador to the UN. And he told me I didn't have to say Youth Advisory Group for Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean, but I wanted to say anyway. Good morning.
Good morning, Tisha. Good morning, Barbados. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Good to have you with us.
Yeah, it's nice to be here and back in person again.
For sure. And congratulations on your recent appointment. I know your tenure started at the beginning of this year, and I would imagine you have a lot that you would want to accomplish over the next few months. So talk to us about this particular session where you had an opportunity at the UN Economic and Social Council's Youth Forum to moderate a portion of that session.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for your commendation, and certainly it's an honor and privilege to represent Barbados and put representation for Barbados in these spaces. And yes, that session was extremely enlightening. I did moderate the session with a colleague from a fellow ambassador from Serbia, so it was good to hear from the persons throughout the room, persons from Hungary, a Minister of Youth from Hungary, Minister of Youth from Ghana, youth leaders, change makers from all over the world, on their role and what they think the solutions for transforming in achieving the goals, the Sustainable Development Goals for 2030. And obviously we all have the ability to transform and we know the challenges, but it was obviously good to hear the solutions that they're facing. And what I did learn and what I did take away from the session was that the challenges that we face are not unique. They face challenges and they're first world countries, second world countries, and we're now developing, we're now transforming. So we have a lot to learn from them and they have a lot to learn from us. And the other thing that I would have taken away is that how people view Barbados globally. Barbados is seen as a global powerhouse. And oftentimes I don't feel that even for myself, we see Barbados as that global powerhouse. But how people view Barbados is certainly enlightening and is refreshing to see how people view Barbados in a 2023 world.
That's interesting, because I would like to liken what you said about us not necessarily seeing Barbados in that light that is seen by in other places of the world, to an instance where I went to a shop where they were doing smoothies. And this lady, obviously you're charged based on what you order. And she ordered mango. And it came to a lot more than was on the board. And she said, "Why is it so much?" And the lady behind the counter said, "It's because you ordered an exotic fruit." And she said, "Mango is an exotic fruit? Since when?" It's because it's so plentiful here. We don't necessarily see it in that light. And I would imagine that's how maybe some of us feel about Barbados, because we're here, we're so engulfed in everything that is happening. Now, take me back to that particular session. You mentioned that you were able to moderate with someone from Serbia. That must feel like a true accomplishment for you. At the same time, heavy on your shoulder, because you're representing for your entire country and the region.
Yeah, it was good because obviously in anything that I do, Barbados must be put on the map. Barbados must be represented well in everything and every space. So for me, the challenge was there, but obviously it was not daunting. So it was just humble to sit in that room, knowing the context of the persons that would have come before, to sit in that room and sit in that space and sit at that decision-making table. And major decisions were made at the UN headquarters. And to know that at 2023, I turned 24 on that day, I moderated the session, to be able to sit there was truly humbling. I'm grateful to God for that. And I must thank God, because all things are possible through Him.
Yeah, calling your age is weird. I always try to reconcile the ages, but knowing that I went to school with your uncle,
he's a young uncle, so that's a good thing.
Oh, good stuff. I'm a young aunt too, so good stuff. Talk to me about some of these things that kind of run parallel to what's happening here, because a lot of the times, as you mentioned, when we think of first world countries, we don't think that we as developing nations have very much in common with them, and most certainly not when we're talking about the challenges that we face on the day-to-day.
Yeah, in terms of our development space, Barbados is in a very good space. Our economy, how people are viewing our economy, how people are viewing our leaders, even our Prime Minister, how people are seeing and viewing our Prime Minister. A guy, he came up to me in one of the sessions and he said, "If you could just give me your Prime Minister for one day, I'd be so happy." And he was from Africa. He was from one of the countries, I think he was from Nigeria. And he said, "If you could give me your Prime Minister for one day, she's the Prime Minister of Africa." So how people view Barbados is excellent. More directly to the issues that they face as it relates to youth engagement, youth participation, access to space, access to financing. Those are the challenges that they are facing. But we have had solutions and we have provided solutions in a Barbadian space for youth engagement, for youth to participate. We're not where we want to be. We're not where we want to be as yet, but we have put solutions in place for us to develop and transform. So for me, that's key, that we are on our trajectory, hopefully to meet the goals of 2030, but we are doing well as compared to many other countries. And I know that, going back to the point, people can't lie. If they're viewing Barbados in this light, they absolutely have to see Barbados transform, and we must absolutely see this as something critical for our development, because people are on the outside are viewing us in this space. So we now have to look within and see how we can be able to transform and contribute to this development and to the solutions, solutions to the problems that we face in every light of the matter.
Tayer, having someone like you represent Barbados at this level makes me very, very proud. And hearing you speak about what happened, the way you speak with passion and lots of vigor, or your robust style of presentation,
My brainy vibes, man.
For sure reinforces that we have so much to offer the world. So again, congratulations. You must come back and tell us about your personal goals, what you're hoping to accomplish during your tenure as well. And I will be calling on you soon.
Absolutely.
To do some work, man, with the young people.
Yeah, absolutely. Just give me a call. I'm always available. I think that's my first interview with you. I often get interview with Pearson. He says don't call him Mr. Boeing, but Pearson I often think, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. And I want for y'all to continue doing the good work, spotlighting the youth. There's a certain notion out there about youth, and that needs to change. Who's coming after me has an excellent story. And I want people to listen to that story and the work the foundation is doing coming after me. And I think they're more important to be represented and need that help most definitely. So I'm grateful for this opportunity. And as usual, big up the people in the back, the production team.
All right, thank you. The Barbados Youth Ambassador to the UN, Tayer Bubulia. When we come back, highlighting more positive youth, we have a young man who is doing positive things all across the island, and we're also going to tell you about the Tyrese Caesar Foundation and the 5K walk coming up.
Because you love English Premier League, MCTV has got it back. Now you can watch all the games of the English Premier League plus UEFA and NFL on MCTV. Current customers can upgrade to Matchback Extra at just $23. Call MCTV today at 228-6288 to upgrade or come in and sign up for our new service. Football fans, let MCTV get you back in the game.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
The Big Bajan Bake Off is back, and the top 5 have been selected. Tune in Fridays at 8:03 p.m. to find out who will be crowned the best Bajan baker.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
23 minutes now before 8 o'clock. Now, Jacqueline Caesar and Antonia Durham are a part of the Tyrese Caesar Foundation. Choose Peace, Choose Life is the foundation against gun violence. Good morning, ladies, and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
Great to have you with us today. Now, Jacqueline Caesar, you're the chairman of this foundation. For people who haven't heard about it, tell me a little bit more about the Tyrese Caesar Foundation.
Thank you for having us. Good morning again. The foundation came about due to the loss of my son, Tyrese Caesar, to gun violence. It was set up in an effort to work with the youth and create a legacy in his name to make sure that our people actually change their mindsets, develop new social skills, that another parent will not suffer a loss, such as myself.
All right, that's quite, that's quite a wonderful thing to do, but I can just imagine what it takes for you to be able to push forward with such an initiative. Now, Antonia, you are program coordinator, and I know that coming up you have an event on the 3rd of June that we really want to encourage everybody to come out to tell me more about that.
Okay, so the event that we have coming up, we have a 5K walk and run event and also skate as well. So the theme that we're going for the event is Choose Peace, Choose Life, right? So with this event, we will be starting at Browns Beach, and we also will be just taking a walk through town, and then we will also be ending at Browns Beach, where we will have our after concert. So at the after concert, we have different artists and so on coming through, different young people, also helping us bring awareness, to gun violence and getting the message out there.
All right, Ms. Caesar, what are some of the areas that you think we really need to pick up on or hone in on to be able to curb all the gun violence that we're seeing with young people in the island?
Yes, a lot of the messages we see in the media is around the violence itself. I think we need to be pushing the message on peace. We do have a program which we'll take to the schools, our peace program, and that does exactly that. A number of our other programs, like the HYPE program, we also work with young people to help them develop different social skills. I think a lot of the work that needs to be done needs to emphasize positive behaviors, be it in communities, be it in the home, be it in the schools. And the messaging must be correct, and I believe you will have a incremental change as you set out to speak to the youth and encourage them to do different.
Antonia, what drove you to become involved at this level?
Well, I would have studied, social work at the University of West Indies. So working with people, going along that lines and so on is always something that I have been passionate about. So this just falls right into my, my category, and because I'm basically all about, just working with young people, help guiding them in the right way, creating programs, to help them, and so on.
We know that when you study particular areas, it's only when you're able to kind of get out there and get your feet wet is where you experience, what's truly happening. So, what are some of the things that have come to the fore maybe in being a part of the Tyrese Caesar Foundation and all that they stand for that you are experiencing now, or that you've seen that you didn't necessarily see as a student sitting behind books?
Well, I guess being out there, as you said, basically gives a different perspective. So it's just, I guess, working with them directly, you see how, the different views of everyone and so on. And
so it changes your view.
Yeah.
I absolutely understand. So take me back now to the walk, which is what we're here to talk about. You said it's going to start with a walk on the beach and then into Bridgetown, and then you have some activity at the end. Even in selecting the activity and the people who were a part of it, I would imagine a lot of thought went into that as well.
Yes. We will have a segment which will focus primarily on entertainment from the youth. We have various youth artists that we will be showcasing. We'll give them an opportunity to perform. A lot of them have messages against gun violence and for peace, and we will be giving them an opportunity to perform. In terms of the lineup, we will have Red Plastic Bag. He's very passionate about the foundation. Mikey, and we have Natalie and Gabby, who himself suffered a loss. So he is gung-ho about joining us and helping us, and that's the senior folk that will be performing. We will have a dance group as well. Not to talk about all of our secrets. We have to leave something for the registrants to experience, but we have a number of other persons that will be performing for us as well in the evening.
All right, so there's registration.
Yes.
Because I heard you talking about the registrants. So tell us how we can register to be a part of the skate and then, of course, the walk.
Yes.
So you can register online on the website, the Tyrese Caesar website. So you will go on there and you will just press the 5K walk/run.
What's the website?
And the Tyrese Caesar Foundation.
The Tyrese Caesar Foundation. Continue.
We're also at Sky Mall, on Fridays and Saturdays, but not this Friday, where you can come and you can register in person there. Yes.
All right, seems easy enough. All right, with all that's happening, first of all, sorry for your loss.
Thank you so much.
You know, but has this worked as a means of therapy for you as well, being able to not only carry on a legacy in your son's name, but to be able to help others? Has this been therapeutic for you as well?
Yes, I would say that. It allows me to project my energies in something meaningful, something helpful, and I'm somewhere in the journey, and I'm working with the youth. I love that. I used to have camp, etc. for kids. I used to teach, head up Sunday school. So working with the youth is nothing new for me, and it gives me an opportunity to give back to Barbados.
Absolutely. I want to thank you so much, Jacqueline Caesar and Antonio Durham, your chairman, Jacqueline, and Antonio, your program coordinator with the Tyrese Caesar Foundation. And the theme for the 5K walk run is Choose Peace, Choose Life.
Yes.
I absolutely love it. I must say this is the first I've heard about the foundation, but I definitely want to hear more, because there's so much more that we need to do, and there's so many other people here in Barbados who are affected, whether directly or indirectly, by gun violence. You know, it's on our doorsteps, no matter how we look at it. Whether it's somebody we know or we know of somebody who knows that person, we all have a connection.
Yes.
So thank you for the work you're doing, and I wish you best. I certainly will try to get out to the 5K walk.
We love to have you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Again, we're going to take another break and come back. Stay with us as we come back to get ready and wrap Morning Barbados, the Thursday presentation.
The Tyrese Caesar Foundation presents
peace.
Choose Peace, Choose Life.
I love
a 5K charity run, walk, and skate on June 3rd, 3 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., starting and finishing at Browns Beach. Music by a live DJ and an after-event concert featuring RPB, Natalie Burke, Gabby, and Mikey. Event package is $50 and exciting prizes to be won for the top 3 male and female walkers, runners, and skaters. Register now at TyreseCaesar.Foundation or call 236-0664 or 243-3410. Join the movement to end gun violence.
all of the youth. We need you know. Come on, support. We'll figure it out.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama.
All positive vibes on this Thursday. When I leave here, a little secret, I definitely have to pass by the pharmacy. My goodness, if you have any natural remedies you want to share with me, feel free. I am absolutely congested today. I had a little bit of it yesterday, but today, through the roof. All right, so we're continuing to share our messages about positive young people. And joining us now, we have two very positive young people. We have Safia Daniel Mohammed, who's in charge. And we also have Jonathan Daniel, founder of Positive Vibes Creative Revolution. Good morning and welcome to both of you.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having us.
All right. Now, Jonathan, you said you started back in 2018 with limited videography skills, but you wanted to project something of a positive nature, and you started by going to your old school and just getting a few young people to spread some positive messages. So tell me a little bit about how that has morphed over the last few years.
Okay, so initially it started off with just join the vibes, and the purpose of that project was to go to persons in their work environment and get them to share a positive message that they themselves try to live by, in the hopes that it resonates with people and helps people in their own lives as well. So one of the persons that I had chose to be a part of the project was a teacher. So going to Dayton Griffith, being my alma mater, I reached out to the school, and I reached the principal at the time, who was Mr. Allen, and I told him about the project and what it was about and stuff, and he embraced it. And after he saw the project done with the teacher, he loved it. And from there, he told me, Jonathan, I'm wanting to do this project with my entire school. So he's actually kind of the person who gave me the idea to do it in terms of the school format. So after his encouragement, I then planned out the project and strategized the project basically to be a format for a school. So our strategy for the project is one boy, one girl from 1st to 5th form, and we get them to give a message that they personally themselves try to live by.
Was it difficult to get them involved, because the students in these videos, you know, they look so confident, they sound so confident. Yes. Was it difficult to get them involved? A lot of the times, I know as in my early years, a journalist and then moving into television production, you know, it's so difficult sometimes to even get Barbadians, because I find that in other parts of the world, people see a mic and camera and they're ready. Yeah. But here in Barbados, everybody's like, no, I'm shy, not me, I can't. Yeah, so was it difficult to get them involved?
Okay, so doing the project this last time, it helped a lot that I had done it before in 2018. And when I would just show them the videos that were done previously and how confident those students were, and I would encourage them as well. Because the thing is, with our youth, they have so much potential, they have so much to give. So it's just to allow them to be aware of the potential they have and get them to release that potential.
And nurture them with love.
Yes.
Yeah.
So once I got the videos started and students started seeing each other, their peers doing videos and stuff, some of them started approaching me saying, sir, I would like to join the project, I would like to do my part in the project. I find the senior students were easier to recruit for the project.
All right, and I'm sure you were very intrigued to have your former students now calling you sir, because that's always a wake up. Safia, what's it like? Because you're his wife, but you also partner with him on the project. So what's it like, you know, helping someone you love to pursue their dream in this way? Because the way he talks about it, the way his face lights up, I could see that it truly is something that touches him, that he's very, very passionate about.
Yeah, so I find it's such a beautiful experience to be able to see behind the scenes, to see his passion, his true love for what he does. And that's what actually made me fall in love with him. Seeing the way he gives his all to the children, and it's not just, just for clout or fame. He's doing it because he has a true passion for it. And he always says to me that he never wants anyone to feel left behind, and he wants to be, you know, that role model, someone that, because a lot of young people don't have parents, like don't have fathers in their life or positive role models, and that's what really helps push him.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's a great story. Jonathan, I understand that you are working toward making this a nationwide project. Yes. So talk to us about some of what needs to be done and how we can assist to help you get there.
Yes. So far in this project, this has been my passion. I myself being the founder. And my hopes is that persons see the concept of the video, see what the potential that it has. And I'm currently collaborating with someone in order to send a project proposal to the government in order to get funding for the project, because that's the major thing that we need right now. I've did all the editing and the motivational speaking and everything with the students, but having this also as a business as well is only so much time I could dedicate to the project. So in order to get more time to dedicate to this project, I would like to have support-driven funding or anything like that to help assist for the project.
All right, what about the messages that are shared? Do you get in there and help the students shape the messages as well?
So I'm glad you asked that question. For this project, I did not want it to be scripted at all. So my approach to this project, when I go to the students, I tell them, I want you to tell me a message that you try to live by, really. And I try to get them to share and open up, and as they share, then I just help them a bit in terms of like wording it or maybe articulating it better. But I make sure all the messages come from them, and we don't use any script. I get them to speak straight from the heart, and that helps them to be more natural in their delivery.
As you look on, what do you think this does for these students on an individual basis and then on a collective level? Because seeing so many of your peers participating must resonate in a different kind of way.
I find it's beautiful, you know, that when you're living in your purpose, the way you can redirect someone's path into a positive way. So I find it's beautiful.
I find also to the effect it's been having on the children in seeing themselves after the project is complete.
And representation as well.
And them, not just that, their peers seeing them in that position and they be highlighted and celebrated for doing something like this. I find the whole goal and purpose of this project was to give them a platform, the youth that are doing positive things, to give them a platform that they could be celebrated. And after we complete the project, we share it in the hall during prayers with all the students, the whole student body, and the response is phenomenal. And I see even after the project is shown, there's a shift in the school culture, there's a shift in the dynamic. More students want to now join and be a part of what we're doing. They say, sir, whenever you're doing another project, I want to be a part of it. And it's really the whole goal and the purpose of the project is basically to help shift the culture in the schools. To instead of necessarily focusing so much on the negative, to now shift that perspective to the positive.
I'm hoping that we can see a few of the messages again so we can reinforce exactly what we're talking about for people who've not seen it. So tell us about the platform that you're using to share these messages or push the information out.
So we post them in partnership with the actual school as well, the Ida Griffith. So if you go on the Ida Griffith Facebook page or the Instagram page, you can see it. Or if you go to the Positive Vibes Facebook page or Instagram page, you can see it as well. The handle for the Positive Vibes page on Instagram is Positive Vibes with a Z at the end, CR.
All right, so let's take in a few of these positive vibes that Jonathan is talking about.
Good morning. My name is Jaden Small from Farm 14, and my positive message is don't stop investing in yourself. You never know when the ups and downs are going to come, so remember to always invest in yourself. Thank you. Follow.
Hi, my name is Amari Webb. I'm in Farm 16, and my positive message for you today is don't follow bad crowds. Always stay to yourself and be in your corner, and don't let your first timer affect you, and in the next time can always do better. Panthers. Hi, my name is Zara Herwood. I am from Farm 14. I am part of the DGS Panthers, and my positive message to you today is to spread love, be kind, and don't give up.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Najwa. Hi, I'm Nyla. And we're twins. We're both in first form. And our message to you today is determination guarantees success.
All right, definitely some positive vibes. Safia Daniel Mohammed and Jonathan Daniel, founder of Positive Vibes Creative Revolution. You know, pushing hard to push positive vibes. That's a great thing. I think it's a wonderful initiative. It certainly put a smile on my face to see young people who are so well spoken, who seem so confident, and who are sharing positive affirmations that their peers can look up to and live up to. So congratulations, and thanks for sharing positive vibes.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having us.
For sure. This won't be the last you hear about Jonathan on Morning Barbados. We're going to take a break and come on back and wrap it up. Stay with us.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at Mornin Barbados.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So that's it for our Thursday presentation, but there's a whole lot more happening today. Make sure you head out to Q in the community today. We are inviting you to come and be a part of the Q family as we head out. And remember, it's crop over season, so we are also sharing in the music and stuff of the festival. So Q today, that is the place to be. And that's it from us. I hope you have a wonderful day today. Come on back tomorrow for the Friday edition. Remember, as you go about your business today, wear your smiles. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you.